Okay, folks, Dr. Mike Kiefer here with Heidi Allen. We're the Energy Alchemists. We're going to do a short demo on what we call immersion therapy. A lot of you haven't heard of chakras before, and this is kind of an introduction to chakra balancing and chakra clearing. Um, Our immersion therapy includes sound. You might be able to hear the chakra music in the background. A lot of times we're burning incense or aromatherapy with oils. We use crystals and stones. We use healing touch, which is Reiki. I'm going to be going through that. So a lot of times you'll go to a sound healer or a sound bath, or you might go do a Reiki session. We do basically total immersion. So normally Heidi would spend some time to get herself into a relaxed state. And this is not like massage therapy where I'm going to be twisting and pinching and squeezing and digging into her muscles. It's called healing touch. And I'm just going to be running my fingertips and my hands lightly on her skin. And mainly what I'm looking for are the meridian lines. You have a circulatory system in your body, which is your veins and your arteries. You have a nervous system in your body, but you also have an energy system in your body. Seven chakras you have, and you also have meridian lines that run along and out from each of these energy centers. The energy centers I'm going to be working with Heidi today for our demo is heart chakra, which is in this area. And it's not a defined area. So it's like I don't take my finger and it's like, oh, boom, there's your heart chakra. Here's your throat chakra. You basically have to learn through experience. And the person that you're working with has to give you feedback as well on how it feels or what they're thinking. You know, from our earlier videos, Heidi had issues with her throat chakra. She had issues, obviously, with her third eye, forehead chakra, and also her crown chakra, the top of the head. So, if you want to just talk briefly, Heidi, tell us about how your migraines was a big issue for Heidi.
Mhm.
Tell everybody how your migraine starts in regard to the pain path that it follows in your body, back of your head,
Yeah.
etc. How does it start? What's the pathway? Where does it end? And
Yep.
what happens with that process of the migraine?
Yeah. So when the pain starts, it starts typically on the left side. And so it goes up my shoulder and then it goes up the back of my neck. Then it goes up through my head and then it really focuses right here. So like this portion of my forehead would be where all the pain would be, just throbbing. Yeah.
So a lot of women that have headaches or migraines, they will follow a standard path. And what Heidi described was the energy path that the migraine follows. And her chakras were blocked in regard to the throat chakra and the third eye, forehead chakra. So that's basically where the pain is originating and where the pain centers up and focuses, causing the debilitation of the migraine. So some people will have pain in their arms, they'll have pain in their legs, they'll have pain in their lower back, they'll have pain in their feet. Those are different chakras. Those are root chakras. A lot of times women will experience cramping and things like that. That's a solar plexus chakra, could be sacral chakra if it's in the lower abdomen. Heart chakra, a lot of times, is circulatory system, could be emotions as well. So basically, each chakra can be used as a physical and mental diagnostic aid or tool. When you do energy work, you're basically trying to get the person into a deep, relaxed, meditative state. And then you basically run your hands or fingers along the meridian lines. Now, I've worked with Heidi for a year, so I kind of know where these meridian lines are in her arms and in her shoulders. So I basically start the session, and I'm doing this at an accelerated rate to make this video. Normally, this session is going to be about an hour long from start to finish, but I'm just trying to accelerate it so that you guys can get a feel for what it is, because a lot of times most people have never had an energy session. They don't know what it is. They think it's something strange or odd. Uh, Most people find it very pleasing to have different meridian lines found, touched, etc. So again, for Heidi, a lot of times hers was in her throat. So I would focus in on this area of her neck, basically running my hands up the different meridian lines that she has using my fingertips. Obviously, run up through the vocal cords, come up through sometimes lips, cheeks, mouth, everything involved with speaking and voice. Another thing that a lot of times people have difficulty with, especially a woman, nobody wants their hand on their neck. Usually guys don't like this either, but this is using the palm of the hand over the throat and the area here. A lot of times would freak out, and in a still photo it looks kind of weird, but in a video, that's why we decided to make a video with this. So you tell me from your perspective, Heidi, and I'm using very light pressure. I mean, I'm not choking her or pressing on her neck or anything. I mean, I'm barely touching her. However, she still feels the energy. So go ahead, and this is a uncomfortable position for most people, women or men. But how does that feel in regard to healing touch?
Yeah, for me, I mean, as you said, it would typically be uncomfortable. For me, it's the opposite. It's exactly what I need, right? So it feels comfortable, relaxed. You can kind of feel the energy seeping in and kind of stirring the energy around in that area for me. And so for me, it's actually like pleasing and it's not uncomfortable whatsoever. So it's soothing, I guess is the right word.
Soothing. And that's how the practitioner knows that they are doing it correctly or doing it right. And that's another aspect of what we work with people on, is not just, we can do this with you, and Heidi can do this as well, what I'm demonstrating here, but also how you could become a practitioner and help other people in your family, friends, coworkers, etc. It's not something you need to go to school for and get a 10-year degree in. You just need to work with somebody that understands this. There is some book work involved, but you have to understand, in working with people, you have to have the right mindset. You have to be caring. You have to transfer the energy. What I am thinking when I work with Heidi is always that I want the best for her. I want her body healed. I want her mind healed. I want her spirit to express itself, and I want her to utilize her full potential. So my mindset is important too in working with her. I'm not thinking about, the grocery list or what I got to do 2 hours from now. When I'm working with her, I'm totally focused. My energy is positive, and I want to send that positive energy to her. When she talked about the migraine moving up the back of her neck, I would trace that line as well. So I'll work up through her neck, back of the head. This is using my two fingers to massage the back of the head a little bit, just rubbing that gently, then focusing my thumbs on the temples. And then for third eye, it's always a position like this, perhaps thumbs on the forehead, perhaps whole hand on the forehead. So let them know how that feels. That's a strange position for people to look at and to see. But how does that feel with my hand on your third eye chakra?
Yeah. So first I'll talk about the intention that you were talking about. So how he's putting out all this intention of healing, positivity, caring nature. You can like I can feel that. The recipient can feel that intention. And so then it benefits both parties, right? He's raising his energy and vibration with those thoughts. And then by him working on me, it's raising my vibration and energy and thoughts. So that's the first thing is like you can feel the intention. And then when he's putting his hands on the certain areas on my head, I mean, it feels like, for me, because I've had so many years of pain in my head, it feels like relief. And that was from the get go, from the first time he, you know, did this, to my head and to my neck. It was all soothing and relief and relaxing. Mhm.
When I first started working with Heidi, especially the forehead here, the third eye chakra, her skin, the skin and below the skin was super, super tight. And I told her that in the first session. I'm like, oh my gosh, your forehead is like just stretched really, really tight. And that's a lot of the anxiety. That's a lot of the trauma that she had been carrying since childhood, all centers up in this area, and it doesn't go away. And for a lot of women, they're like, oh my gosh, why is my forehead, pounding, or why does it feel so tight, or why is this happening? And just by gentle caring, positive intention, usually the stronger person can raise the vibrational energy of the other individual. And then also, you have to remember that energy always follows the mind. So, whatever a person is thinking, whatever their intention is, that becomes energy, and that either goes in the person's body or outside of the person's body or both. So, as I work with her or other individuals, I have to be in the right mindset, and she can sense it right away. If I have any negative intent, or I'm not in the right mindset, or I'm not thinking the right way, she'll immediately sense that. So why don't you speak to that? You can talk about some of our disharmonies, what we'll call disharmony situations, when her and I have not been in resonance and not been able to do this type of thing because we're in disharmony for some reason or another, maybe a misunderstanding or something like that. And then we try to do this, and it just doesn't work, because you have to have harmony with the person that you're working with. So go ahead and tell them about some disharmony.
So, in regards to disharmony, I mean, for me, I don't like feeling rushed, and so if I'm feeling like, the intention isn't there, it's kind of rushed and all of that, I feel like a disconnect. And then to me, it has a negative impact, or just like, I don't want, any of the energy work, right? So it's like when you have two energetically sensitive people, they can feed off of each other in positive and negative ways, right? So what we've learned is, if there's any like disharmony, or if either one of us is feeling, I mean, quote unquote off, right? You're rushed, you have something else on your mind, stressed, overwhelmed, any of that. Then we've learned you need to talk through that ahead of time, because then anything that's done before that's resolved won't matter, right? It's like you have to be in harmony, and connected to have this work how it should.
Right. So yeah, a lot of times it's timing. If she thinks I'm looking at the clock and saying,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I won't say it, but I'll look at the clock and I'll be like, okay, well, we got like 15 minutes," and she'll notice that right away. So like, well, you seem like you're being rushed.
Yeah.
Your touch isn't quite right. It's not working for me. What are you doing? Are you watching the clock? Are you looking at this? Are you thinking about something else? And so I have to be cognizant and aware of what my thoughts and my intentions are whenever I work with somebody, not just Heidi, but other people as well. The practitioner has to be in the right mindset, or the other person won't get the benefit from it for sure. So I'm going to switch positions here, and I'm going to show you some of the other work with hands, arms, etc. So another aspect on energy work. And this energy work that we're talking about here, whether Heidi does it or whether I do it, it's all very caring. I mean, you have very positive intent for the other person. You are in a mindset where you want healing for the other person. It's almost like you're in a deep prayer situation for a lot of people, trying to give you terms that the average person might be able to understand. But you really want to get in resonance with the other person So your intention has to be super positive. I mean, you have to be cleansed of any negativity. You can't be thinking about other things. You can't be thinking about work. You can't be thinking about the clock or timing. I mean, it has to be all focused on that person. And then that's when the magic happens. If you can be totally in tune with the other person, you can focus on what they're dealing with, whether it's a childhood trauma, whether it's pain in the body, whether it's migraines. A lot of people don't understand that memory is not just housed in the head, but it's also housed in the body. People that have been in car accidents and maybe they injured their arm or their wrist, or they broke their arm or wrist, or they have carpal tunnel syndrome, or they have different issues with their arms, their shoulders. A lot of times women hold tension memories in their shoulders by running the meridian lines, asking the other person to tell you how this feels, what happens when this is being done, is all very soothing, as Heidi said, and it's all very caring, very giving, actually very loving,
Mm-hmm.
because you want the other person to really benefit from all that you're doing. So this is something you can do with your family members, your partner, close friend, etc. So Heidi, why don't you speak a little bit to the arm, the hands, the fingers, especially this. This is one of the positions that's very soothing for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say the hand holding, especially with two hands, kind of it's like a sandwich around mine, is very calming. But then when he runs up the lines, it's almost like a little bit tingling sensation. Um, yeah, it's almost like you can feel the energy moving.
For sure.
Yeah.
Then we'll just close this session here pretty quick with the other aspect, and that is getting energy from the other person. So you can go ahead and use the other hand up there as well, like this. So this, I mean, there's hundreds of these positions. We're giving you some basics here, but go ahead and speak to this. What I would try to do here is have her gain energy from me. You create a circuit by doing this. When the client puts their hands on the practitioner, the hands are key. When they put their hands on the practitioner, then the energy makes a circuit and flows through the individual and then also up my arm as well. So go
Hmm.
ahead and speak to this.
Yeah. So for me, when we do a circuit like this, I feel a lot of the energy in my heart chakra. And so it's flowing through me, but then I can feel energy building in certain areas, depending on what technique or like position we're doing.
Yeah, she has a lot of heart chakra, very sensitive, good ability with heart chakra. So a lot of times, she will feel it there. Other people may feel it in their neck, their throat
Mm-hmm.
chakra. They might feel it in third eye. They might feel it in crown, etc. So again, you work with the other person to see where they feel it, what is happening, what's a positive position, where they get the most benefit. Last thing I want to mention in this video is the concept of third eye chakra. Third eye chakra is the center for your psychic abilities, ESP. A lot of people have experienced things in their past that they could not explain. They're like, oh my gosh, I had a near death experience, or I had a deja vu experience, or I had this weird dream that then came true, and they don't understand it. They think there's something wrong with them. They tell people about it, and other people think they're weird. Their parents tell them forget it. Don't ever say that to anybody. Don't ever talk about that. But that is a huge aspect of what we do. Once a person has their chakras cleared and balanced, they become more aware of third eye chakra, and the occurrences that they thought were strange and weird as children or even as adults start to make sense to them. So we try to put these puzzle pieces of a person's life together in regard to the aspects that they can't explain, or they don't understand, or they think is weird and doesn't make any sense. We have information to make sense of that, so a person can actually understand themselves better and utilize their full potential in regard to third eye chakra. Everybody has capability in regard to spiritual gifts and psychic gifts, but they don't know how to enhance them. They don't understand them. They don't know how to use them. So a lot of times they're afraid and they're just scared and they're like, oh, wow, that's like woo woo stuff. I don't want anything to do with that. But from my years, decades of experience, actually, you cannot suppress psychic gifts. You cannot suppress spiritual gifts. They are there, they are part of you, and they are something that you should utilize, discover, utilize, and enhance so you can help other people. And that's another aspect of our energy work is to help people discover and enhance their psychic spiritual gifts through the energy work that we do. You want to talk a little bit about, your third eye opening and different occurrences happening
Yeah.
after we started our work together?
Yeah. So, I mean, first off, I think, what I was doing throughout my life and my childhood is like trying to suppress some of my gifts. And then also, a part of that was like using my voice. My voice now is more powerful and convicted, and I can help people with it. But throughout my childhood, I would suppress that and not use it, which came up as a physical ailment. Some other things since we've been working together is, through the energy work, things are more clear for me. I see things clearly. And then also, like when I meditate, I used to get frustrated. Now I get messages. And so, I can go into the meditation or even go on a walk at this point with an intent, with a question, with information. And then the answers will just come into my head. And we call it like a download, right? And then I'll just type it all out, and then you read it later and it's like, whoa, what just happened? I just got all that information, and then review it, and it's really cool. So I think all that was trying to come through before when I would meditate, but my chakras weren't clear. I had trauma I had to clear. So once I really worked on myself and my mindset, then the your gifts become magnified, and then you can use them to help other people.
Yeah, and when she talks about, um, like receiving a download or something like that, it's not like she goes outside and like, you know, God's like talking to her, and it's like, oh, I got to go on my walk with Denver, my dog, because like God's got a meeting with me over at the park bench, and I'm gonna like hear voices and stuff. It isn't like that. A lot of times it's an intuitive sense. Um, you can learn how to do automatic writing, which Heidi has learned how to do on her phone. So when she talks about like a download or messages, they're impressions, they're thoughts that she gets. So before, there was nothing there. And she knew that there should be something there and it was frustrating. And now she can go out and she's like, okay, hey, I made some notes on my phone. People can do it through journaling. There's various ways you can do it. But again, a lot of times, people think it's strange. And, if you don't phrase it with the right wording, it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to do energy work because, you're going to make me crazy. I'm going to start hearing voices and like I won't be able to drive my car or eat my breakfast or something. And it's nothing like that. It's like getting information, intuitive guidance. I will say this: women are better at intuition than men. So women are much more in tune and can develop their intuition much better and much faster than men. So that's just a flat out fact. Okay. So Heidi has fantastic intuition, and a lot of times she didn't have any discernment. So she didn't understand whether it was an intuitive guidance or whether it was just, hey, I'm not being logical. And so she wrestled with that
Mm-hmm.
for a long time because she does have an engineering, logical, mind, and she wants to reason everything out. It's all got to make sense. And I'm detail oriented in this. And when she started to use her intuitive guidance, it was kind of contrary to her education, her training, and how she is. And I basically helped her with that discernment to understand when something was an intuitive guidance that you needed to follow versus just, random thought. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about discernment, because that was an area that you struggled with.
Yeah. Yeah, from discernment, I was confused about that from the start. Like, how do you know if it's, your intuition, or how do you know it's not just overthinking? I always tended to overthink, analyze, be very logical. But now what I go through is I go by feel. How do I feel when that statement happens? And for me, it's like my heart is my guide. So my heart chakra, if it feels energized and content, then I know that I'm on the right path. If it feels skippy or jumpy or panicky, or I mean, it's just a way to describe it, then it's something that's not for me. So I go by feel more now rather than try to rationalize it and think through it. I just listen to my body.
And that's another aspect of energy work. Your body actually becomes a conduit for energy. You become more aware of sensations and feelings that you get in your body. So it's not something, intuitive guidance is not something that you reason out in your head and you're like, oh, is this my intuition or is this like a random thought or what is this? You go by feel. You go by, like for her, her heart chakra is strong. Other people might be throat chakra, might be third eye chakra, might be sacral chakra. So you go by, if your body is clear and your chakras are balanced, your body becomes an antenna for discernment. So you can tell whether you're getting intuitive guidance, whether it's something you should follow, or whether it's just a stomach ache or something like that. So that is something that most people have no idea how to even fathom, or that that even exists. It's like, well, I didn't even know that was a thing. But yeah, that's a thing. A lot of the stuff that we teach and we go through with people are techniques and methods that they've never heard of. I mean, Heidi, I've been working with her for a year. Most of what we've done in the past year and what we've talked about, she's 46 years old.
Yeah.
Hope I can say that.
Yeah, that's fine.
She's 46 years old and very knowledgeable, very intelligent, has a great career, a great family. And most of what we've done and talked about the past year, she never heard of before she met
Right.
me.
Yeah.
You want to
Yeah, I
talk
mean,
about that
it's
a little bit?
all a brand new concept. I've never heard of any of this, but what I do is I go by, what feels right, and kind of what I'm led to do now by intuition. And so um, that's been eye opening and life changing over the past year.
One of the interesting jokes that we have is an inside joke if we're out at lunch or dinner and we're having a conversation. Um, she tells me, she says, "You say that like it's normal."
Mm-hmm.
And now she talks like that, and she goes, "Well, I sound like you." And
I know.
I tell her, I said, "Well, you sound normal now," but everybody around us, yeah, it doesn't sound so normal to them. But
Mhm.
it's just an education process, so it's nothing for anybody to be afraid of or think is that bizarre or weird. It's just knowledge. People are afraid of things they don't understand and have never heard about and don't have any base for. But we are out here trying to aid people, trying to assist people with difficulties, difficult life situations that they might be facing, medical diagnosis, childhood trauma, issues they've been facing all their life but had no idea how to work with or how to deal with. So we feel like we have an alternative, holistic approach, not just mentally through energy work, but also through nutrition, eating, exercise, basic things that the average person seems to have forgotten and doesn't do. And now they find themselves in very bad shape, anxiety, stress, uh, physical health issues, and they don't know what to do or where to go for help. So we would like to be an avenue and a source and resource to educate people in the techniques and methods that we have learned and mastered, for me over my lifetime, for Heidi over the past year. But
Mhm.
she's a quick study.
Yeah.